this is amazing. It's clash heads again. This is like Chaz Mostert and Cam Water.
It's motorsport, but not as you know it. Test yourself and your everyday road car. Safe, affordable, but most of all, fun. And all you need is your daily driver. Experience the thrill of a sprint day. Race against the clock at a hill climb. Or test your reflexes with an auto test. It takes just 3 simple steps to get started. Get on the start line. Search Motorsport Australia Daily Driver today.
Fishies in a row. They're here to make a point and to do Eddie proud. They fan out in the background as they come down to turn 1 for the first time. It all looks pretty good, 2 by 2. We'll stop the camera here. Oh, Eddie would be proud, mate. That was awesome run around turn 1. But, oi! Contact with the fishies!
He's made it through. It doesn't look like Angus has made it, but Thomas Freeman's made it through, and Angus is going to suffer the crowd coming through there to be able to turn his car around. Woo.
I love riding. It's a real social thing. There's a great bond between riders.
Every weekend I look forward to getting out there. It's a freedom like no other.
Riding to work is a great way to start the day.
Shannons insure all types of road bikes, not just classics. They offer features riders really want. It's why they're one of Australia's leading motorcycle insurance providers.
Whatever you ride, whatever you ride,
Whatever you ride,
ride with Shannons.
Call 134646 for a quote.
And they are off. It was a good start from Dylan De Bono. I think Phil Vella got a great start there in the background as well. You can see already cars going 5, 6 wide as they're trying to find any semblance of space. They come into T1. So far we've got 2, 3 wide as they snake down. It's Michael Conchar that's got around Dylan De Bono. A couple of cars going wide there. Was that a bit of contact in the back? Scott Pocock caught up in that, I think, there, buddy. But it's Michael Cuttajar's got past, so Dylan...
light is coming out and we're about to get going, and we have a green light and a very slow start for the 86s, but they are moving out there on the grid. It would be very interesting to see exactly which driver can capitalise on this first lap. Just go through the grid. Look like Jamie Christensen had a really awesome start to get ahead of Dylan De Bono, and Doug Gowage also jumped his teammate as well, so unfortunately Dylan stalled the car a little bit more than what he preferred. But
Weekend in, weekend out, Motorsport Australia officials are making waves. From waving flags, waving cars through pit lane, or responding to a wave for help. Wave hello to new lifelong friends. Who knows, you might just make waves around the world. Ride the first wave. Search Motorsport Australia officials today.
Still great classes of car, and if you are able to, if you're coming up the ranks on iRacing through the licenses, it's a fantastic sort of laneway into prototype driving, going from that GT3 up through the prototype classes. As the safety car pulls in, we get ready to go green as we come up towards the line. Edwards, Hasler, who's going to get the jump down to turn 1, or will any of the fishies, any of the piranhas in behind them, assault them down towards
they're green and they're
this
off.
First lap? Let's go here.
We've always had a few cars. They're all special. The T-Bird.
Oh, that's mine.
The Combi for when we want to get away. The XR8.
It's going to be a classic.
They're all insured with Shannons.
We've also got Shannon's home and contents cover,
which helps protect our automotive collectibles, tools and memorabilia in the home and garage. If you're motoring enthusiasts like us, it's got to be
Shannon's.
Shannon's, insurance for motoring enthusiasts. Call 134646 for a quote.
This is amazing. It's clash heads again. This is like Chaz Mostert and Cam Waters. Almost the same situation. Better contact going down the hill. Sam Noble wants to slip on Dave Coleman now. Sam Noble bottle right now because tell you what, Bruce Tannock and Jamie Dyke just absolutely drove away from us. Hayden trying to go around the outside. This is where he could have just sent it up the inside, but he hasn't committed, which is fair enough. It's very scary out there, ladies and gentlemen. Now let's see if we get a good run. Dodd's just absolute thinker, but it is a really nice move. Blake Delaney had to move out of the way.
Good evening, good morning, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to Sim Racing World TV, and welcome back to round number 6 of the Motorsport Australia Formula V Nationals. Bit of a different flavour here tonight. Unfortunately, your regular host, JP, was under the weather tonight, so I've stepped into the booth to cover for him. I am one of your commentators here, Hamish Mono. Joining alongside me is Andrew Cowan. Cowie, we're back together again earlier than we would have expected. We would have expected it to come this Wednesday, but it's still with open wheeler racing with these little match boxes made in heaven. And, well, the short, sharp Jefferson Circuit of Summit Point going to offer up some great challenges for these drivers in cars that are actually quite challenging to drive.
Little pencils on wheels, buddy, and those wheels might as well be Jats crackers because they're not very thick at all. I totally agree with you. They are quite a handful. It's all about momentum carrying these cars through, and, you know, although it doesn't look like, you know, they create a lot of aero wash, the tow is really effective in these things. So, you know, get a bunch of them together on the track and they'll be swapping positions up and down the straight.
Yeah, I think, you know, if you've ever been in iRacing, everyone's probably had a crack at the Formula Vs. They're available from the get-go. They're available from the rookie class. But it is like throwing someone in the deep end of open wheelers, isn't it? I often think to myself, it's actually easier to drive an F4 or an F3 than it is to drive a Formula V. Why'd you put a rookie in this? But I suppose it teaches them the little nuances of having car control in an open wheeler, in a car that is quite weak but bare bones. You know, it's been called basically a glorified go-kart, you know, but just with a little bit of a worse transmission here or there. But, you know, there's so much on offer for these cars and this type of racing. It's a real club level of racing in the Formula Vs. And I think Summit Point, you know, specifically this circuit is a club racing circuit. You know, it's a bit of a Winton, a bit of a Sandown almost, you know, where you get quite a fair bit of club racing happening. And it offers up some great battling. You know, this circuit's very flowy. There's a lot about it. And these cars, well, you mentioned it, Cowie, you got to be able to maximize that mid-corner speed and that flow-on of speed. And that's where you're going to find drivers actually going to be the fastest, are the ones who can take advantage of that and find their rhythm around a circuit.
Well, you were saying it does have that sort of club sort of circuit layout. You don't see a lot of curbing on it, not the red and white curbing that, you know, we see at some other tracks. One of the things that I would say to people out there, that if they haven't tried the Formula V, you've got to do the Mount Washington downhill in the soapbox setup.
Yeah, where you just have the car turned off and leave it in neutral and do the downhill run. But it's, you know, and these cars, I mean, particularly myself, I'm not the biggest fan to drive them, but when you can see some good battles happening in them, it is some phenomenal racing, and some phenomenal racing at at the lower level of iRacing. You know, I think all of the rookie classes, the Formula Fords, the Formula Vs, and the MX-5s offer some great racing and some great opportunity for battling for those lower class of drivers. But then when you take someone who's in a higher class, say an A or a B class driver, it can get even better because they've already built on the nuances over their time. And now they're just kind of being able to build on it in their prowess in these cars. So I think tonight we're going to have some great battles on offer. Of course, 2 20-minute races across our hour of our broadcast here. About not even a minute left of practice. We'll then get into qualifying, Cowie. You've been here majority of the season. How do you think things are stacking up coming into the final 3 rounds, starting next week for round 7, of course, but, you know, this being the end to our round 6. How do you think things have been stacking up throughout the season for the drivers out there in these cars and who may be looking to move on in future up towards the F3 or into the SF24 for next season?
It's been Caleb Bellac's season so far. He's pretty much taken out a victory every week and leads the championship by considerable margin. So it's definitely his season Nor not wishing on him to throw it away or anything, but definitely he's the one that is sitting on top and leading the championship. You know, there's been some great battles all season, all the way down through the ranks of these guys here. And the thing is, you know, that reverse top 10 for race number 2, it's really putting the quick guys in amongst the thick of it. But you would think we would have seen lots of carnage. It hasn't been like that. It's been good, close racing from all of these guys in a car that is tricky to drive if you don't know the nuances. Biggest advice I could give anyone driving this car is only use second when you're getting up to third and fourth. That's it. Don't go back to second.
Well, I think you mentioned Caleb Ballack. I believe he actually races Formula Vs or Formula Fords in real life. So he has actually got some real-world experience in these types of cars. And I guess that gives him somewhat of a benefit over other drivers. He's already gone through the nuances of real-life racing and these things as he starts his first flying lap on board with him now. But, you know, it's kind of also a learning curve for other drivers of knowing, you know, you can learn the nuances of this car and you actually can get better in them. Caleb Brand's a little bit wide there. Not sure if that'll give him an off-track or not. But we've seen him do well in the F3s, Cowie, of course. He's struggled a couple of times. But this type of car really does suit him well, and I know he'd be comfortable in it. But it's whether anyone can step up to the plate and really put a challenge to him in the last 4 rounds of the championship starting here tonight.
Well, look, one of the things with these cars, and the reason they're, you know, used in a lot of series as a sort of feeder series development, almost, you know, you first get out of karting, you would be jumping into a Formula Ford or a Formula V to start your full-on racing career. Now, one of the things about this is because they have, you know, those thin wheels, it does give you the sensation, I suppose, the you know, ability where you're going to be driving on the limit of the grip of the car, but albeit at a lower speed than a more powerful vehicle would offer. Now, what that does is that teaches you as a driver to start to use all your sensations there to, you know, work out how you can sit on that edge of grip but still keep it under control.
Yeah, you know, this car, we mentioned open wheelers, finding that grip limit is always imperative in an open wheeler. This car is so hard to find it because of the lack of downforce, isn't it? It is so hard to find that grip limit, and when you have found it, it's sometimes even harder to keep it there and to keep pushing at that level to keep it at that grip limit. But when you find it, and the drivers that can find it consistently, they are absolutely rapid in these things, and they offer up so much in terms of a driver and in terms of how they can operate in a car. Again, this car's at a real basic level. It's nothing ultra spectacular. You know, it's basically a carbon fiber body with some wheels hanging off it and an engine in the back. That's about as basic as you can get, especially in an open wheeler world. But there's so much you can learn from that basic amount of car, or that basic style of car, and that you can apply into your driving, isn't it?
Well, I mean, a lot of it is about throttle control, really, because one of the, you know, the quirky things about this car is, you know, when you start to lose the rear, you know, you've got to maintain a certain amount of speed, or it's going to loop around on you. You can't just sort of drop off the gas completely to, you know, let the car stabilise and get back under control, because you don't have that weight transference, you know, in a bigger vehicle, you know. That you'll find that the drivers actually drive through a lot of slides and almost sort of accelerate themselves out of it.
Well, I guess we've got about 10 minutes more of qualifying. Caleb Ballack currently sits at the top of the timing tower. 55.5 is his fastest time. Daniel Byrne not too far off the pace, about 2/10 down. A couple of chats we've already got here tonight. Ray Douglas saying, "Go Jace. These things are only a glorified go-kart, mate. Let's go, buddy." Boxer Stuff's Gaming saying, "Glorified go-kart with the worst transmission known to man." And then he said, "I can't shift this thing reliably." Yeah, it is hard to get grips with the transmission in this car and the gearbox and getting it, you know, get the feeling and get the rhythm into it. Ray Douglas saying, should have the old top loader in them great boxes in my day. And Phil Bella saying, "I haven't seen this track since rookies." I mean, it's a track that I think is only really used in rookies, if I'm not mistaken, Cowie. I don't really see it anywhere else on iRacing.
Yeah. Look, I think I've raced the V8s at Summit Point, the full layout once. I've never done the Jefferson layout here with the shorter 55, 56 second lap. One of the things that I was going to say for those guys complaining about being able to shift in this car, if you haven't tried it already, give the GTO a go in iRacing, because it's got one of those horrible 4-speed boxes as well.
Oh, the GTO is one of my favourite cars that I started driving at the start of the season. I bought it and then I started doing some laps around, I think it was the club circuit at Winton, and it was so much fun just to chuck it around there. Such a fun car to drive when you can get to grips with it. And it's the same thing for the Vs. Yeah, and you can just chuck it into a corner pretty much, and it's reliable the fact that you're not going to spin it very easily, but again, getting to grips with the gears can be quite difficult. But it's the same thing with the Formula Vs. You know, when you can get to grips with them and when you can learn those nuances, as you mentioned, Cowie, you can feel really rapid, can't you?
It's really dangerous to go back in a second in these things. So easy to loop the car around. So that's why we were talking about before about trying to maintain as much momentum as you can in that sort of mid-corner, because, you know, the thing is it can bog down in third in the slow corners as well. So, you know, if it's bogging down, normally you'd want to go back to second, but if you do that, it's going to step out. So you've got to be careful, and it's, you know, it's quite a trickier car to drive than people realise. And, you know, to drive it at skill and drive it fast on the edge of grip with other cars around you, like these guys have been doing for the past 5 rounds, you know, it's a testament to the practice that these guys are putting in.
Ray Douglas has just said something quite interesting in the chat, and I've never noticed this, and it makes me ponder something right now. He said, "Who is Caleb? His name is a pseudonym, as Caleb is in reverse is Belak." So Caleb's name is his first name and then his last name backwards.
No, it's not. I suppose it is a palindrome, yeah. No, that is quite interesting.
So is Belak his actual last name, or what? Because
no, perhaps he's got some you know, parents who are professors of literature or something like that. You know, something we can ask him if he makes it into the booth tonight. Of course, at the moment he is continuing on his strong running in the Vs, topping the sheets at the moment with a 55.35. He's got about 1.5 tenths over Scott Pocock at the moment, who has jumped up ahead of Daniel Byrne a further 700ths back. Adrian Loretti only a couple of tenths off that, sitting in P4, and Jace Douglas, Ray will be happy to hear, currently P5, though he just got pipped by Graham Dooley, as I said it.
Look at that. Look at the interval between lap times, Cowie. They're all spread by less than half a second between themselves until you get down to Stephen Heaton at a P14, although he has just dropped it down to below a second. But it's all orange pretty much for the top 13 cars in their separation between them for their lap times. So it's going to be ultra close here tonight. If they can cut these laps consistently, we could be on for one hell of a night of racing. 2 20-minute sprint races, of course, to come here tonight. We've got 14 cars out there. 15 have signed up, but Mick Rush is yet to go on track here for qualifying. So reverse top 10 race, of course, in the second one, Cowie. It could really shake things up. If we get some of those guys who are more towards the back just sneaking into the top 10 and then being able to start up the front for race number 2.
Look, it's just going to be close running. I mean, one of the things that we've seen in some of the rounds, it's been better to be P2 with 1 lap to go and then make your move. I don't know if this track's going to have those big, long straights that's going to really bring the draft into a huge play. But you know, once you get a few of them together, it just creates battle packs. And like we see with the F3s, the moment you start fighting with a car out there, that slows both of you down and it just brings the pack closer and closer together. I think just about every week, JP and I have seen massive 4-5 car battles going on for the entire race. So you're in for a good show tonight, buddy.
Oh, well, I was hopeful I would be covering up for JP, and I hope that I am doing him justice here tonight, and hope for hopefully he is feeling better soon, and he'll be able to be back on your screens come Thursday night for the GR86s. The name that I'm actually quite surprised to see out there tonight, Cowie, is Steve Singovich. He mentioned the other night or last night that he thought he might struggle to get into sessions this week based on the fact of how many times he's had dropouts during his races. But you see here the new kind of, I like to call it the dashboard cam, looking straight at the driver's eyes, if you could see through the visor. But we get a good opportunity. Yeah, it's an iCar cam. You get to check out how they use the wheel, their wheel work through corners, and you get little glimpses in behind the car as well, kind of outside the cockpit opening that they sit in. But it's going to give us an opportunity just to see how well they can use, their wheel control to keep control of these cars. I caught him before mid-spin in practice, and he was full lock trying to save it, but it was actually quite spectacular to see the world around him spinning as he was trying to catch it. So a new eye shot for us here for the Formula Vs as well. But yeah, I think Sinker, we're going to have to keep an eye out if he is going to be able to stay in the session or not. Touch wood, he's able to race. Fingers crossed he doesn't drop out at any point either. So hopefully he's able to stick in there. But just under 3 minutes of qualifying left to go here, Cowie. It's looking like it's going to be Caleb Ballax.
Yeah, I was going to say about Stephen, I know that when I jumped into the chat there before, just in the lounge, a few of the boys in the lounge chatting during the race tonight, but I know Tyson was helping him there, maybe sort of reloading some of his software for his wheelbase, so hopefully that might have fixed the issues that he's had.
We had Ray Douglas saying, great to see these guys in the wet when it arrives. Well, if we ever want these guys to race in the wet, at least for next season, they'd have to move over to the FR 1600s, the Formula Fords. Formula Vs, unfortunately, did not get the rain. But these things are already a handful to drive in the dry. I don't know how they'd go in the rain. What do you reckon, Cowie?
I think what's one of the things, I think the thing is, look, the rain is across all of the tracks, so I haven't tried it yet. But I reckon you could create a rain server for another car. It's just there's no rain tyres for that car.
Yeah, you
could.
You'd
be driving slicks and,
and
you'd have no control. So the thing is, I think, they're probably using this season, release it on a few select cars where they focus their testing, and then they can use basically the next 12 weeks to, make sure that the tyre model is doing what it's supposed to do, and then they can start to open it up for other, the other series out there. I mean, one of the big things we're all waiting for is Aussie V8 supercar drivers is the release of Gen 3, and I'm gathering when it comes out, it will likely come out full wet weather ready as well.
Well, there are already some heavy rumours that'll be happening in Season 3. One of the things that I kind of surmised and figured out is iRacing are likely going to be, obviously every new car that comes out will get rain. They already said that whenever there's a new car released, it will have rain from the get-go. So how I think they're going to backtrack and get cars that are already on iRacing is they will likely go down the order of what's most raced on iRacing. So I think what's most likely next to get rain that's already on the service is probably GT4s. And then you probably get LMP2 because that wasn't included in the multi-class stuff that got rain.
You think about what they've done though, buddy. The classes that they've picked so far, they've sort of done a few different sort of classes where they could get a lot of info across the spectrum, so the cars that will drive differently. I mean, if you look at it, each of the cars they pick drives differently.
Well, yeah, pretty much at a base level, they all drive. We saw it on Saturday night, how different it was compared to the 8.6 to the SF24 to the GTPs and GT3 cars. So my thought process is going forward every season, say they release, I don't know, maybe 2 or 3 cars in the season for road, they'll get rain, and then 2 or 3 sets of cars on the service already will get rain alongside, and then that's how they're going to backtrack it. So I'd say, for example, season 3, you could see, you could see Gen 3 with rain, and then the stuff that's already on iRacing, you might get GT4 and I'm trying to think what else will be there.
Well, it'll be interesting to see how much of the legacy stuff, if any of it, gets the wet weather update. But look, we are coming near to almost qualifying, about to end, about 5 seconds. I don't know if anyone's going to get to add another lap in. And there it is. being a sort of a sprint format tonight, 2 20-minute races, does mean that the qualifying cuts off straight away. But there is the leaderboard, the grid for tonight's race, and it will be Caleb Bellack from Pioneer DJ Racing who leads away the pack alongside Daniel Byrne, who put in a great lap there to steal P2 with only a couple of minutes to go. Adrian Loretti and Scott Pocock will share row number 2. Jason Douglas and Chai Filo in row number 3. Graham Dooley, Tyler Sheep, great result from Tyler, up in P8. Dean Sinkovich alongside his brother Stephen Sinkovich. There's going to be some great wars there, buddy. Martin Walker and Sam Chapman bring out row 6, and row 7 will be Kevin Wakefield and Stephen Heaton. I think that's our 14 drivers out there with race control. But okay, Sinkovich Wars, Bunny. Who's going to get it tonight?
Oh, mate, it's going to be Dean. It's got to be Dean. He has been so consistent.
Was anyone ever choose to bet on Stephen straight up?
I'm
Dean
sure
seems to be getting all the love at the moment.
You know what? I'm sure they have, but the smart bookies have got it on Dean, I reckon. But he's been so strong this season across both the F3s and the GR86s. He's just been really improving his craft, and I think he's getting better for it as well. We've got Jackos in the chat saying, let's go Sheafy, and then Battle of the Submarines between the two sinkers. So
they're a pencil.
Yeah, they are.
They're a pencil.
Well, no. But both Dean and Steven, they're sinkers, so they're submarines.
Fair enough.
Yeah. But, of course, Sheafy back on return from Japan. This is his first official round back in SRW since being away for the last month. So he'll be hoping to have a good result here tonight. Yeah.
Look at that grid. There's a fair bit of space between the spots. I know there's still a couple of guys to jump in, but yeah, there's a bit of space between them.
Yeah, I think
around the corner there at the back.
Yeah, it's could offer us up some opportunities for incidents to not really happen if seeing they're spread out quite nicely. Jace Douglas and Graham Dooley yet to join the grid. Everyone else has hopped into their grid slots, although they have got just about 40 seconds to get onto the grid as well. So might not be too long till we get them. Kai Filo's on there too.
Fuel has been tight in a few of the races this season, where guys have had to do a little bit of saving just to make sure they could push at the end. And we've even seen a race where, Caleb Bellack fuel saved enough to basically be the only car that didn't stop in the race. So, be interesting if we're still on that fuel bubble again this week. But I suppose with only a few seconds left on the grid, buddy, we're about to find out.
We are indeed. That was a really bad camera angle on the main straight, just looking straight through a pit tent. But the engine's about to start to arrive. It's going to be Bellack on pole position. You can see the little puffs of smoke out the back of his little Matchbox Made in Heaven, the pencil car. I tried to convince Sheafy to get a pencil livery off Trading Paints, but he couldn't find one, unfortunately. But lights are up. Let's go racing for race number 1 here tonight. It's green flag running. It was quite a nice start there from majority of the field at the front that we saw. Nothing really egregious happening already as we come up to turn 1 for the very first time. Such a tough corner to get right. Very hard to find the braking mark. A couple of puffs of smoke as they come on through. But all looking pretty tidy at this stage here, Cowie, as they make their way through the first sector of this beautiful little Jefferson circuit at Summit Point.
Yeah, well, one of the things, the nature of this track means it doesn't really have any sort of obvious brake markers, so you're going to be using trees and little tufts of dirt on the side of the road to try and work out where to brake in these things. But again, we know that this car, it's all about flow, and Daniel Byrne got a great start there, but Caleb Bellack was able to sort of close the door on him before he could get up the inside of T1. But again, we see that draft, Daniel able to chase hard.
Caleb Bellack is having some dropout issues there, I just noticed. But he is back now. There has been an incident, though, on lap number 1. It was involving Kevin Wakefield. This is how it happened for him at the back of the field here. He's come up over the crest of the hill into quite the fast little left-hander. Oh, yeah. Very easy to do in these cars, isn't it? Like, they're so heavily weighted to the rear that it can cause quite a few issues for you just trying to keep it online and keep it nice and straight on the road as well as they come through that exact same corner. Big puff of smoke out the back of Burns' car as they come on through for the second time. Oh, but that's a big spin in the background.
Is that contact?
Possibly was. Steve Sinkovich has been involved. So is Martin Walker. I believe Graham Dooley as well. We'll get the replay happening at the end of this lap as Bellac still leads them round here to start lap number 3 here tonight for our 20-minute race here for these proceedings. Let's get the replay up of that little moment there. I think it might have been Sam Chapman and Graham Dooley involved. On board here with Chapman. Oh, and he just lost it.
Oh, it was good avoiding there from Chapman. He actually did pretty well to avoid contact. I think he avoided hitting the trees there as well, so we'll be able to get going without a broken car. But
this was Sinky. He was in behind this. Oh, and he clipped that curb. He did it in practice quite a few times as well. Clipped the curb, and it just unsettles the car so much off the back of it.
They don't like being unsettled, these things.
No, they really do not.
At the moment, Daniel Byrne keeping Caleb Bellac honest at the moment. It's a 2-horse battle, and we're only on what, lap 3. These guys have already got about 1.5 seconds. And Byrne looking for a way through. Not driving like someone that needs to save a little bit of fuel. So at the moment, it's what, 55-second laps. So we're talking maybe 21 laps for this race if it stays green. Oh, out on the grass there, Caleb, and he got a little shimmy. Had to get out of it, and that's given Byrne a chance to go up the inside. And he's got that pass done, Caleb. Yet nothing he could do about it once he got a little sort of hint of green there, and the car did not like that at all.
So that means Daniel Byrne is now pole position, in P1 for us here. Ray Douglas saying, I reckon Caleb Bellac might be a ring-in from a superior class. Well, Caleb's... he's been running in the F3s, of course. I believe having a run every now and again in a couple other series here or there. But he is in the Vs for this season. Big puff of smoke, though, as they come into turn 1 from the number 43.
He's also got a 6Ki rating, so I think he knows a little bit about this simulator that we know and love.
But there is always opportunities to learn, no matter what your I rating is as well, Cowie. So,
of course,
you know.
But it is a good indicator of speed, especially the difference between, us in the 1 and 2K range and the guys that are in the 5 and 6K. You don't really get to 5 and 6K without sort of, being fast.
That's right. Off the back here of Jace Douglas's car, we've got Loretti, Pocock, and Fijo lurking in the background of this battle. Make their way through once again, and they're just kind of settling in to a little rhythm now, Cowie, in this race. They're not trying to give up too much time to the top 2, but just trying to survive the majority of proceedings, just so they can have a nice little battle towards the end of the 20 minutes. 5 minutes in, though, 15 minutes to go. We've already seen a couple of incidents happen early on, and anything could happen throughout the rest of this race.
Look, that's one of the things about these cars. It does create close racing, and although Byrne and Bellac have jumped the rest of the pack, they're glued together. And then if you look, we got Jace Douglas, who's done a great job. He's up 3 spots up into P3 at the moment, but he's got Adrian Loretti and Scott Pocock right behind him, chasing hard. And if they keep battling, that'll give Chai Filo back in 6th the chance to get on the back as well. Looks like he's closed in as well, I think, just about.
With them 2 by 2 round the final corner, they come to drag race over the line. Douglas, though, just manages to hold on to the podium position. Here's Pocock in behind them. He's just starting to lurk a little bit as we come up here into turn number 1 once again. It's really just offering us, as I mentioned, a good little insight into how you can battle in these things. It's lap number 7 already, so it's going by fairly quickly here tonight, Cowie, but these things may not be, the fastest things on iRacing, but again, when you're on a lap and you're in a battle, you feel like you are moving at an absolute rapid pace, even in a car that isn't at the kind of upper echelon of speed here in iRacing.
Yeah, you're only sitting a foot or so off the ground, You've also in a car where, you know, on most of the tracks here in iRacing, you can fit them 3 or 4 wide, maybe sort of 2 or 3 wide here. But there's certainly plenty of room for you to be able to make moves. But you can see when, you know, all 3 of these guys here are on the limit of their grip, and, you know, the tiniest little mistake or the tiniest little advantage of the toe is, you know, it's what makes the difference.
So I guess, Cowie, the conversation can be had then, you know, seeing these are a rookie series here in iRacing. If you were to start out as a rookie again, right, complete honesty, what would you choose? Would you choose the Formula V? Would you choose the MX-5? Or would you go for the FR 1600 if you were trying to get out of rookie class for the first time?
Look, maybe me doing it again, I might try the open wheeler route. You know, when I came through the first time, I did the Mazda MX-5, and then I think there's another road series to get the D class to get the C, and then once I got the C class, it was V8 supercars all the way, and I think eventually I decided to do a few rounds of Bathurst in the GT3s to get my A class license, and since then I don't think I've been back in one except for the Enduros. But yeah, look, these cars are great, mate. I've had a couple of sort of drives during the sessions, you know, as a watcher, so you can drive with these guys and ghost and actually race with them. And you know, there is a lot more nuances to driving this than you would think, and a lot of it does come back to, you know, techniques that you need to have when you're driving the F3s and the other open wheelers.
Yeah, I think, you know, we mentioned that the throttle control is what is almost key in these cars, but also learning having the maintenance of speed throughout corners, you know, maintaining that pace through a corner, not having so much stop and starting as you're trying to lap these cars, because I find personally when I've driven them before, stopping and starting all the time actually unsettles them quite a fair bit, where if you can be smooth and have those smooth inputs, as Ballack up the road has just taken P1 from Byrne. Here, we'll check out this little battle as it's starting to heat up. You know, that's it's something that's quite easy to learn. Well, not easy to learn, but it's harder to learn in the, you know, the F3 or the F4, because of the amount of downforce they have. They're a little bit more forgiving in terms of going for that stopping and starting style of driving, where these things you are forced at the deep end to go. You need to be able to maintain speed. You need to be able to learn your car and your throttle control as well. So there is quite a lot on offer for these cars, and again, they may not be my personal favorites to drive, but I can appreciate what they offer a racer on iRacing or even in real life to learn that open wheel style of racing at a ground, you know, a groundwork level sort of thing. So,
well, a lot like the Mazda as well. You know, it's one of those cars where you can start to really learn the nuances of, you know, driving with slip angle, and that's where you're getting the car to step out a little bit to the point that it's almost in that point where it's going to drift and brake. But what it's done is it's given the car that little bit of extra rotation that enables you to carry more speed through the corner. So this is one of the cars that's easier to get to that edge of where the grip is, where the slip angle is. And it's a bit more forgiving on that grip. Now, that doesn't make it easy to drive it on that limit, but what it does do is it enables you to consistently get the car into that position where you're playing with it, you're fighting it, you're driving it, and that's what really, you know, makes you learn. Who's that getting out of the way? Captain Wakefield there pulling over, letting the field through. But it is a close battle between 1 and 2, and these guys here, well, it seems that they have mastered the nuances that this little pencil can provide. And at the moment, is Daniel just going to sit in here and wait for an advantage, or is he going to take any opportunity he can to get by?
Well, you know, after seeing, we've both seen firsthand how Daniel races in the F3s. He's a very smart operator in a car, and he's a very smart driver, especially when it comes to open wheelers. Now, I checked out some of his content on YouTube last night, Driver 808, because it came up in my recommended. I was like, oh, that's Daniel's channel. I'll check out what content he's got. And noticing in some of his videos that he's made from other races, he's very particular and very calculated on when he's going to go for those moves. He'll know when he's comfortable enough to force a move, but he's also never going to let an opportunity get away from him to get that move done as well. So what I think is going to happen here is he's going to be patient, he's going to wait, and he's going to be willing just to sit in behind Caleb here wait for him to make a mistake and go for it. Or if he's going to force it, not be desperate about it. He's going to be smart about it. So he's a driver that, again, he's one of those complete drivers in these types of cars. See there, Caleb running it wide, burn up the inside. Did it as we mentioned it, waited for the opportunity, took it as it came, and then just slotted it into first place, Caleb into P2. So, again, it's that smart driving that Daniel puts into practice across whatever he races, whether it's F3s, 8.6s, or Formula Vs. He's a very, very smart operator, and that was an absolutely brilliant display of driving just to keep it under control, keep the mind under control, especially Cowie, and get the move done when he needed to.
I'm wondering if Caleb let him through there. Maybe fuel is a little bit of an issue here, and these guys have got to just massage that fuel level again. As to your question before, Tyson McAvoy saying MX-5 for sure, and Jack Oz, MX-5 can survive more impacts in rookies. Yeah, I suppose that is one thing you will get in rookies, impacts. But again, look, you know, good fun car, and what would you see in these sort of cars? You see it in the MX-5 as well, that those MX-5 races, those official races, are not just filled with rookies. There's lots of guys that love the challenge of driving these slower cars and racing close. The top split races of the MX-5s, you know, there's some 5 to 10 KI rating guys in there racing these things.
Oh, I noticed even when I was a rookie, there were quite a few D-class drivers who would still come back to rookies and do MX-5s, obviously, because they're not at C-class, so they can't do the C-class open setup MX-5s at that point. But they come back and they do the fixed series because they're still able to, because they're a Class D driver. But again, they like the way they drive, and they're looking to maybe improve upon their prowess in that car before they move up into the C-class level, where they're racing guys of, you know, C-class and above in the licenses. So it's, you know, it can be quite a smart move just to go back a license and still practice in the car that you spent a whole season getting your prowess in and getting your eye in. So I wouldn't recommend it for everything though, Cowie, but I think the MX-5s are pretty safe to do that, especially if you've got a pretty reasonable I rating and you know you're going to be in a higher split in that rookie class for sure. So, but Byrne leads the way to Bellac, to Douglas, to Pocock, to Loretti. We've got Phil Ho.
Run there, Caleb, but just tested the waters, but no real commitment to the move. But maybe just having a look there at where he was getting that overlap of speed. Again, coming here, you can see he's got a great run through here. Is he going to send it up the inside? No, he decides to sit in the back, so may well see Caleb here waiting for that final lap or two of the race before he makes his move. At the moment is that Jace Douglas has sort of solidified his battle with Adrian Loretti. Scott Pocock has sort of split the two black Vs apart. But yeah, look, this battle up front, it is close. And I'm sure Ray would be happy to see Jace putting on a good showing, and so far he's managed to avoid any Imperial entanglements.
Yeah, he's done well here just to survive this long in P3, keeping the defence happening, you know, on Pocock and Loretti, who've been in behind him. And in fact, they're not letting Bellac and Byrne get away from them at this point in time. They've almost even gained a little bit of time on them too, so they're actually pacing at quite a good average lap time. In fact, his last lap was actually faster than Bellac's was the last time around, and I believe it was also faster than Byrne's. So they're slowly creeping up on him here, and we could be in for a little, yeah, we could be in for a little battle come the final couple of minutes if they can just get it up on under a second and get that toe on Bellac, and it'll just drag them all in for possibly a nice little final lap dance.
All three of these guys lapping faster than the two in front, but Bellac and Byrne are still fighting hard. At the moment, Scott Pocock, he can see P3 right in front of him here, so he is chasing this one down hard, and I know Scott hasn't had the results that he probably was looking for. He's been quite fast in the Formula Vs. He's had a couple of moments this season, so he'd be definitely looking to try and get up on the podium in this race. You know, and you know, hoping to maybe have a chat with us tonight too, if he can do it in the second race as well.
Well, of course, the reverse top 10 grid will be for race number 2. Currently sitting pole position for that one is Steeman Heaton, who sits P10 in this race, 10 seconds off the back of Graham Dooley in P9. Current running order of things, Byrne to Bellac to Douglas, that's the top 3 in the current podium for race number 1. It's then Pocock and Loretti making up the top 5, Phil Ho, Dean Sinkovich, Sheaf, Dooley and Heaton making up the 10. Steve Sinkovich, Walker, Wakefield and Chapman make up the rest of the order. So some nice little tight battles at the front, no KO, but they are starting to spread out towards the back where some drivers have been making a few little mistakes over the past 15 or so minutes of this race.
Yeah, well, I think we must have missed one from Chai Pile because he was right on the back of this battle. He's now 10 seconds behind, so we didn't see what happened to Chai there. But he's been one of those drivers that has shown some good speed and been, in and about a few of the battles. Perhaps still trying to work on his racecraft in these things. But as we said before, this is a car that, not a lot of us would spend a lot of time focusing on it. So for these guys to come here and race it, that means you're also devoting time to be able to practice in it and to sort of improve your skills in a car that, I suppose not a lot of us race. So, but what we've seen over the past 5 or 6 rounds is that this is a car that they're all starting to get a grip of and they're battling hard. It's awesome to see.
So Ray Douglas saying that he reckons Bellac's going to wait until the last lap and then he'll go for the dive. So we'll have to wait and see what's going to happen. Oh no, but Burns run it wide as they've come up onto some lap traffic. Bellac's going to go back into P1 as we get the white flag this time by on this. How can we have white flag? We're not even getting to the 20th minute just yet. That's a bit of a premature white flag call.
Well, it's 20 lap race. That's why.
Oh, okay, I got you. So they've hit 20 laps before they've hit 20 minutes. So this is the final lap, final opportunity for Daniel Byrne to get the lead back here from Caleb Ballack. They're nearly at the halfway point of this lap already. And Ballack's got a nice little lead off Byrne at the moment. Could that be a race-changing moment for sure? It looks like it's probably going to be at this point. But you got to feel for Daniel Byrne, Cow. He had that in hand and then just unfortunately let it go from a small mistake on the final corner as we come round for the final time.
Byrne's not giving it up yet. He sent it hard then. but
it is
not enough on the last corner. Yep, that's it.
What a race it was, though. It was a great little battle. Nice little nippy battle between them both, swapping and changing positions. Douglas did well, so did Pocock, so did Loretti. Top 5 have finished, so's Walker and Sinkovich outside the 10. Phil Ho will come home in P6. A good run from them. Dean Sinkovich beats his brother once again, and he'll start from P4 of race number 2. So it could be an even better performance coming from him here. But we could also get some carnage happening, Sinker, with those slower boys starting up towards the front.
The top 10 always creates a bit of trepidation when the fast guys find a few slower cars in front of them. But I will say, look, for the most part, these boys have been pretty good. It's not, the incidents that we've had in previous races haven't been a result of any malice, and it's just been genuine mistakes and guys trying to drive these cars on the limits. Unfortunately, you can get caught up in things from time to time. I'm sure that, Jace would agree, and probably Ray as well. Ray Douglas saying I knew Belloc would win. Well, he certainly has been the guy, I suppose, on top of his game since the Motorsports Australia Formula V's here started at SRW. But yes, Caleb Belloc taking it home from Daniel Byrne. Jason Douglas, Dynamic Simsports P3, great result for Jason. Scott Pocock and Adrian Loretti dropping out the top 5. Chai Filo, we didn't see what happened to Chai there, but he still put on a good performance and finished P6. Dean Sinkovich, Tyler Sheaf, Graham Durley and Stephen Heaton, well, he will be pole. So Graham and Stephen on the front row for race number 2. Martin Walker, Stephen Sinkovich, both getting caught up in that incident we saw with 3 or 4 cars there. Sam Chapman, Kevin Wakefield as well. So those 4 with a bit of redemption for race number 2, hopefully. And, well, the leaders, well, Belloc and Byrne, they're going to have to see if they can carve a way through the field quickly, because you don't want to get it caught mid-pack for too long.
A couple of drivers out there in the warm-up session at the moment. Cowie, Dean and Stephen Sinkovich, as well as Scott Pocock, so just trying to get a couple more laps into them before we head into our final race of the night, race number 2. Should we drag Dean in here and have a quick little chat to him about that one? Do you reckon?
Doing a lap. Would he be willing to have a chat? I'm sure Stephen would have a chat.
We'll bring Stephen in. We'll bring in Stephen. Mr. Sinkovich, we've dragged you in.
What for, man?
Well, we just wanted to drag you in for a little bit of a chat, since you like to chat to people mid-race sometimes. We wanted to see how you're feeling after race 1 and how you're feeling in the warm-up. We saw a bit of a moment there early on, and then you never really got an opportunity to come back. No dropouts, though, at this stage, luckily.
Just in qualies, I had a dropout.
Apart from qualies.
But yeah, I came around this corner here, actually, that I'm just sitting in the dirt with, and I saw the two boys spin, and I had a bit of code brown. And that's why I spun it. And then the other one was right here. Came down and I just touched the gear down. It's a little bit too early. And Tyler and me got tangled up. So, but apart from that, it was all right. The pace was okay.
So
tyres are cooking now.
So Dean got up into P7 for that one. He'll start P4 for race 2. Have you given him the pep talk already, or what do you reckon his mindset is coming into race 2 and starting on the second row of the grid?
Because he made it, because I did that spin, he made it past me, didn't he? Yeah, because I was in front of him for most of the time. I don't know, mate. He'll be right. He'll be right. He won't get nervous about it at all. He just doesn't give a shit what going on around him. He'll be focusing on himself, and that's it. So, excuse the colour, but yeah, he'll be fine. He doesn't get real nervous with that sort of stuff. But the tricky corners here, like this one here, it's like a really big one, and you got to try to carry the pace through, but also make it around that bloody, without touching that.
I'm watching it over the bench.
No, McAvoy hit him.
Did you see? Launched into the pits.
He was putting you where you're meant to be. But I guess on that note, we'll let you go, Sinker. Best of luck in race number 2. Thanks.
That was a setup.
Oh, it definitely was. He was patient on that one.
I've got a 42-second stop and hold, repair, unsafe pit entry, speeding in pit.
No, he's just laughing he's laughing in the chat at you now for causing that one. But best of luck for the race, mate, and we'll see how you go.
All right, have a good call, boys.
Thanks, mate. Oh, that was good old
stitch up in deep from my team boss there. Good timing.
Yeah, it was good. He knew he was on screen. He's like, I've got to get him off the track here. It's not safe for everyone else. But about 30 seconds left of the warm-up, Cowie. I think, reverse grid could get some carnage happening out there. Could also lead to some even better battles as those faster drivers try to make their way through the field. Hopefully, though, the guys who are starting up the front can hold their nerves together and keep themselves in check for the start of this race at least, and try and hold those faster boys back for a good amount of it.
Some tricky corners there, you could see Steven sort of struggling to carry speed through, and then he almost took too much speed out of it, and then the car wanted to rotate around on him, and he caught it and then lost it on the straight. But that while we were talking to him, just the work on the wheel and the difficulty that he was having on that edge of grip, that's what I'm talking about. It's the guys that are really confident at driving at the edge of that grip level. They're the ones that are time and time again topping the leaderboards here.
Well, this will be our starting grid for race number 2 here tonight, ladies and gentlemen. Stephen Heaton will start at a pole position ahead of Graham Dooley out of P2 for Pace Syndicate. It'll then be Tyler Sheaf for Velocity SimLab starting out of P3 alongside Team SRW's Dean Sinkovich out of P4. It'll then be Kai Filo on P5 ahead of Adrian Loretti out of P6 for DFR, with Scott Pocock and Jason Douglas making up the 4th row of the grid here tonight. It'll then be Daniel Byrne and Caleb Ballack making up the top 10 positions for our starting grid, and then after that it'll be how they finished in race number 1. Martin Walker and Steven Sinkovich in P11 and 12, and then Sam Chapman and Kevin Wakefield out of P13 and 14 as well. Short grid, but gave us some absolutely ripping action there in race number 1, Cowie, and could offer us up even more coming into race number 2.
I'm looking forward to this, buddies. It was a great race number 1 there. Awesome battle between Bellac and Byrne, and then also was that Douglas Pocock and Loretti, all of those guys, well, it's reversed around for them, and they'll be behind each other, having to battle their way through, the other guys there sitting in front, Stephen Heaton, Graham Dooley, Tyler Sheep, Dean Sinkovich and Chai Filo. Now, out of all of those guys, I think Chai has shown before that he's had great pace up the front, and he will stick with the battle, so he's going to be no pushover, that's for sure. Stephen and Graham will be interesting to see how those guys do deal with being right up the pointy end of the race.
So, predictions for this one, Cowie. Who do you think is going to take out race number 2 with these reverse grid conditions coming our way?
Well, I think, like Ray has said, it's sort of hard to go against Caleb at the moment. He has been the standout driver race after race. Sure, some of the other guys have shown great pace. Scott Pocock has shown great pace. So has Daniel Byrne, but they've had moments at times. Caleb, well, he's the one that has basically avoided all of the carnage so far this season, and keeps putting it, up the front there just with pure speed. So very hard to go against him.
You know what? I'm gonna make a bit of a rogue choice. I reckon he's going to go 2 better than he did in race number 1. I think it's going to be Jason Douglas who takes out the cheeky win in race number 2. He starts ahead of the other 2 boys. They could get into a battle, could allow him just to kind of break away and get past some of the other drivers ahead of him. He did well to hold off some pretty talented operators in Scott Pocock and Adrian Loretti in race number 1. So this could be Jason's time to shine and have a bit of a breakout moment for him here in the second race of the night. But only a couple seconds left till the lights go up. Cowie, let's go racing for the second and final time out at Summit Point here tonight for the Motorsport Australia Formula V Nationals. It's going to be Heaton versus Dooley off the start. Sheaf and Sinkovich in behind. They'll be hoping for a quality getaway off the line. That's who's going to get the jump, though, down towards turn number 1. Do you reckon... we didn't ask about our safety car picks for tonight, Cowie. Do you reckon we might cop one here in the second race?
Don't think so. I think there's enough runoff here and not a lot of sort of walls and fences for broken cars. So I don't think we're going to see a safety car. We may see a few more incidents, but I think there's enough space around the place like this where they're not going to, really slow up the race.
So we're just waiting for the lights to come up. Bit of a longer grid time than we're normally used to. I'm not quite sure why.
I think Tyson was having issues with his computer. Something has happened there, so I don't know if that's affected it or not. He may well have extended the time, but here come the lights, buddy. Race number 2, it's going to be a cracker.
Let up in our blimp, we'll see how they get off the line here through the trees. It's green flag racing. It was a good start there from Sheaf. He had a P3, a little bit of tyre smoke off the back of his car though, but he did well just to keep it controlled and keep it up into P3. A little bit of a bog start though from Sinkovich. He's now in an intense battle with Loretti in behind as they come through 1 for the first time.
Right, Velo with a great start, but he's had no... Was that Sinkovich as well?
That was Heaton.
Who's Stephen Heaton that spun. And Chai Filo, he got a great start, was up 2 or 3 spots, but he had nowhere to go. It's unfortunate. Because, he was my dark horse to maybe bog down the leaders for a while.
Well, it's now promoted Tyler Sheaf up into P1. Dooley's kept it into P2 at this stage. Loretti P3, then it's Pocock P4. Douglas making up the top 5. Bellac has jumped.
Oh,
Burn, and that was a car
with
spun around. That was Stephen Sinkovich. Yep.
He's been talking about that corner. It was a troubling corner for him. And again, this one here has been another corner that he mentioned, quite difficult for these guys. See Bellac and Scott Pocock battling hard. So Bellac already up 5 spots at the moment. Where's Daniel Burns a couple further back. So Bellac managed to get ahead of Jace Douglas at the moment, your dark horse. But Tyler Sheaf doing a great job out front, and Graham Dooley, he'd be loving it as well.
Yeah, it's given us a nice little 6-way or 7-way dance even with Byrne at the back of this battle at the moment as they make their way around. I've noticed that Sinker likes to ride the curb on the inside of this corner, and I think that's actually what's been causing him to cop those spins. You really got to keep these things off those kind of more vertical, more vertical curbs, right? As Bellac's still having a couple little dropout issues here. Do apologise for this. As we continue on through. Pocock wants it up on Dooley. Loretti's already made it into P2.
I like getting it done as well.
Tri-Filo's had an incident in the background. They've spun it out at the same corner that Sinker's been having issues. We come through to start lap number 3. Tyson McAvoy saying no, the safety car screen died. And that was like the start was delayed a little bit there. But it's Loretti versus Sheaf for the lead of this race as we come on through.
He's saying no safety car. His screen died. I'm hoping it's not his whole screen that's died.
Oh, I hope so.
Quite painful.
Yeah.
At the moment, Adrian Loretti putting the pressure on Tyler Sheaf. So Dooley already back to 7th now, as basically those pack of pros have managed to, fight their way through there. Loretti getting a run. Sheepy going to the inside, try and hold it, but if Loretti can stay there, he will have the inside for the next corner. See Sheepy getting up on the curb, but managing to avoid looping it. Or Douglas with a nice move up the inside there of Bellac as well. He got run out a little wide there, trying to sort of battle with Scott Pocock and Chase Douglas. Great opportunistic move there, buddy. Though Bellac having another look back. Oh, 3 wide on exit. Look at that. Pocock got it a little loose and almost created a, don't know what you would have called that, but 3 trying to get into 1 was rather interesting.
Yeah, it's not normally a mathematical equation that works out too well, but Pocock still leads this little battle. They're giving us a nice little taste for what Formula V's can have on offer for us, and this is kind of what I was hoping for the reverse grid. You got those faster drivers just trying to make their way through, but they're not that too much faster than the guys ahead of them, so they're actually able to keep a pace and keep a battle going with the likes of Bellac and Byrne and Douglas. So it's absolutely fantastic racing so far. Lap number 5, 4 minutes into proceedings, and without a safety car, it means we will get to the end of this race prior to the 20 minutes being up, being that it is limited to 20 laps all round.
Good move there from Scott Pocock as well, doing a move on Jace Douglas. Caleb Bellac now putting some pressure on Jace as well. But
these guys spun Douglas!
Oh no, I think there might have been some contact in there, Jace, on the radio. We'll have to see what race control decides about that.
This is on board with Bellac.
Oh, it's that pencil nose again.
Yep.
We'll have to see what they have to say. But I think that's sort of one of the only things that, maybe would trip up Caleb. He's shown great speed, but being behind some of the other guys, maybe a little bit too aggressive. The battle out front, Adrian Loretti's managed to get about half a second out there as Tyler Sheaf still hanging on to P2. He's got Scott Pocock right up his clacker at the moment. Caleb Bellac with that cloud over his head over that incident. And Daniel Byrne right behind him. That is your top 5 here for the Motorsports Australia Formula V Nationals.
So we're settling into our rhythm now, Cowie. 5 minutes in. Already, as you mentioned, in the lead. Sheafy's still up there in this battle. Bellac and Byrne, though, in behind Pocock. What could you see maybe coming of this throughout the rest of Ray Douglas saying disqualify Bellac in a joking way? Who can you see here maybe having a little bit of a breakout moment? Now, when I was picking my prediction, you believe me or not, I was looking at the Reddy's name and I thought, well, he could possibly do it, but I have my hearts in Jason. But I thought, the Reddy could have this.
Sheepy a little wide there. Pocock getting through. But Sheepy's going to be caught out there, and you can see, who's that Graham?
That's Byrne. It's going to be 4 wide here with Byrne. He's ducked out of it though. 3 wide through the corner. A bit of a knock there to Bellac from Pocock. They somehow make it through as they come up here towards turn number 4. I have no idea how they got that done.
Good driving from Sheepy. He's the AM sort of mixed up with these pros battling here, and that was some great driving, Sheepy. Well done, buddy. Because very easy to have made a little mistake there and taken 2 or 3 cars out. Daniel Byrne now getting a bit of a run on Sheepy, but that was a great little battle there, and it showed some true skills, buddy, so well done.
So what I was kind of getting at before as the battle started to kind of commence was Loretti's someone that we can't really sleep on. We know he's been strong in Formula 3s in the past, and yes, may have slept on him in not picking him as a bit of a dark horse here for this race. But he's in a strong position at the moment, Cowie, and he could really take advantage of this battle happening because he's already built the lead out to about 1.3 seconds. Drive through penalty for car number 43. Contact on lap 5. That is Caleb Bellac. that will take him out of contention for this race, being that we may not get a safety car here tonight. So this may be race done and dusted for Caleb Bellack, being forced to traverse through the lane. That'll take him outside of this top 5 battle, possibly even outside the 10 if it's a long enough lane travel.
I think it's the first blemish for the season for Caleb, and I mean, look, it was pretty unlucky. There was no intent there. He's just trying to get a good run, and but these things happen. But I suppose look, when you're racing so close, there's a chance that things like that will happen, and he's just got to take his licks, and But I mean, with a commanding lead on the championship, it's only going to be a blip for him.
So he comes through, does the drive-through. He's actually not going to lose too much time off the back of it, actually, realistically, but he will be pushing hard now to try and make all of that back up. Drops him outside the top 5 and into P7, so quite a little bit of a gap for him. He's lucky the pit lane's actually quite short at this circuit, and it's quite a short run, so he hasn't actually lost too much time necessarily. But he definitely
cost him about 6 or 7 seconds in total. That's all that's cost, So
certainly, you look at the other end of that.
You want to drive through? Well, I was going to say the zebra track you want to drive through is probably the one.
That's it.
But still.
So, but I guess Sheafy's gone off though.
What happened to Sheafy?
We'll get it up on screen.
That same corner that Stevens complained about. It looks like Sheafy's gone round wide, and that's some great driving from Daniel Byrne to avoid contact there. Can we go on and have a look at Daniel?
Possibly.
Maybe on board through that and see how close he came, because that was crazy close.
Here we are here. Oh, it was so close, wasn't it? An absolute, that was a real pucker moment for him there. But what I was going to say was, being the fact that the lane's actually so short here, unfortunately for Jason Douglas, who was on the other end of that incident, he hasn't really gotten anything back on Caleb from it. But,
Caleb's ahead of him. Like, that's crazy. That is crazy. Unfortunately, it's one of those things I think we saw before, and I can't remember what round it was, that you could serve a penalty, and it actually, like Silverstone, you go across the line ahead of everyone else.
Oh, yeah.
I can't remember what track it was where we actually saw that happen, where a car almost seemed to benefit a little bit from the penalty.
Well,
it might have been under a safety car. No, I think it might have been under a safety car. Everyone was going slow under the safety car, and going through pit lane for the drive-through, you're going quicker than the safety car was.
Well, I remember, speaking about open wheelers and Silverstone, back in the day, Michael Schumacher got a stop-go penalty. He had 3 laps to commit to it, and there was 3 laps left in the race, and he came in on the last lap, crossed the line before he got into the box, and then committed the stop. So he still did the penalty, but he finished in P1 still. But they changed the rule after that, saying you couldn't do it on the last lap. So, but yeah.
Well, Formula One's filled with a lot of those sort of things. It's it's what the rules don't say. And how many, well, I suppose we see it with all levels of bureaucracy, but generally another layer of bureaucracy gets added when someone finds a loophole that isn't accounted for. So
well, it happens in any race series, whether it's real life or sim. Someone finds a loophole, the league admins or the organisers find out about it, so then they make a new rule that cuts the loophole away. They can no longer do it.
Well, at least we're not going to get any more grass dipping anymore, because the grass actually slows you down now.
Well, not even just that. Even at whenever you race at Daytona, there's rules now in place for drivers that they can't dip off the edge of the bold section to get a pace advantage down the straight, because there are rules in place in a lot of leagues that stop you from doing that. And I believe now as well, even in officials, if someone sends a video interview doing it, you can actually get banned because you're getting an illegal advantage. So.
Look, we've had it with brake dragging as well, and I mean, not just I wasn't just talking about exploits within the scene. I was talking about even just real life. I was having a discussion with with my mother the other day about youth crime and all that sort of stuff, and she was saying, why can't they get more public servants to deal with the paperwork so the police can get out there and do more work on the streets. But the thing is that people don't realise that that paperwork has probably been put in place because of, you know, police corruption in the past, those sort of things where you've got to make sure that people cross the I's and dot the T's so that you know that no one's taking advantage of the situation. And unfortunately in racing we see a lot of the same thing where someone comes up with an ingenious design. Take for instance the dual axis steering that Mercedes had a few years back in F1. Basically the other team said, look, if you don't ban this, we're all going to have to spend millions of dollars developing it.
Well, yeah, it's kind of, you either ban something or you make it a spec part, don't you, on every single car. And a lot of leagues they'll be like, oh no, we don't want to do that because it'll cost us money. We'll just ban it. So even like the double diffuser in 2009, well, they made that, they banned it the year after, and then Red Bull found a workaround, a loophole in that ban that still allowed them to have a double diffuser, but it wasn't actually illegal, but it still gave them an advantage. We have had
it happens all the time.
Yeah,
happens all the time, buddy.
We've had a couple of chats out there. Mum Race is saying go Graham, who we've been on board with over the last lap or so. Graham Dooley and Tyson McAvoy saying Ray Douglas might DQ Chase.
Well, Ray was calling for a Bellac disqualification, so Tyson hits it back.
Yeah,
it can go the other way too. But look, it was just a moment. Unfortunately, you know, Jace hasn't had a lot of luck this season. He's been certainly racing well and right in the thick of things, but we know, Ray, you know, even in real life, sometimes you just need the cards to fall your way occasionally, and unfortunately hasn't been that sort of a season for Jace in the V's so far, but he's been driving well, good pace, so I'm sure he's enjoying it.
Oh, we can just see Sheafy there in the background trying to cart it up the inside of Douglas there. We got Dean Sinkovich involved in this little battle as well. It's a little three-way dance for P7. Jace, though, runs it out wide. Sheafy's going to get it up the inside of him, up to P7. And Dean's got a nice little front row seat for this battle happening right in front of him.
A nice move from Sheafy, though. He's gone in too hot. He's lost it on the outside again. Again, that corner has been troublesome for a few drivers tonight. We were on board with Steve and Sinkovich during the warm-up, and he talked about the troubles that he's had there. Well, he certainly hasn't been the only one. It's not the first mistake we've seen there tonight.
So on board now with Dean Sinkovich as he tries to chase down Jason Douglas. Just outside half a second is the gap between them. We've got Sam Chapman, further up the road on the back of Bellac as well. And then Pocock just trying to chase down Loretti. We're lap 16 of 20 here in this 20-minute race. So with no safety car, we are going to finish this thing before the 20 minutes are up, ladies and gentlemen, as we make our way through. So a couple more
Keep
laps
an eye
to
out
go.
on that. Keep an eye on that battle up front too, because Scott Pocock has got that gap down to now half a second on Adrian Loretti. Daniel Byrne and Caleb Bellac. Well, you know, Bellac with a great drive after serving a drive through penalties to find himself under 7 seconds off the leaders now. But Daniel Byrne, he's about 2 seconds back from this battle. Scott Pocock, there's no draft helping him, so I'll have to see if he can close that in. But Scott Pocock now well inside the draft of Adrian Loretti, and we could see it on at the front here from a couple of guys that have shown some promise, shown some speed, but as yet haven't been up the front battling for the top spot.
Yeah, they're getting an opportunity right now. Bellac and Byrne. Well, Bellac's out of contention pretty much 5.3 seconds back, but Byrne, if he can find the pace and get into tow range of Pocock, he could put a challenge here over the next couple of laps. It'll be 3 laps to go when they cross the line, ladies and gentlemen. As they come around the final corner now, Loretti leads to Pocock to Byrne. That's the current provisional podium positions, and it's Bellac, Chapman making up the 5, Dooley, Douglas, Sinkovich, Sheaf, and Wakefield make up the 10. And Philo, Heaton, Walker, and Sinkovich make up the rest of the grid. We start lap number 18, 3 laps to go here. Let's see who's going to get the run on the way round this lap. You know, we've had a nice little run here so far, Cowie. Loretti versus Pocock at the moment. Burns up there. Who do you reckon could take this one out here over the last couple laps?
Well, Scott's showing some great driving at the moment. He's right in the slipstream. He's just got to pick his moment. We do know that Adrian Loretti, he's a great defensive driver and has got good pace in his own right. So it's going to be interesting. I would not be surprised to see these two guys fight hard and Daniel Byrne be Johnny on the spot to pick up the scraps. But 2.5 laps to go. We're about to find out if it plays out that way.
Oh, who's pinging you, Cowie?
Oh, I think it's the team chat.
Oh, fair enough. Well, lap 19, 2 laps to go. It's going to be on for young and old here as Loretti and Pocock try and battle it out here for the win of this race here tonight. This would make Daniel Byrne the round winner, if I'm not correct. Or would it make Scott Pocock the round winner? No, it would make Byrne, because he finished in P2 race 1, P3 this race. Or would that make Bellac and him equal on points after the...
I think the points are the same in both the races. I don't think they're weighted towards the second race more than the first. So that would put them both on equal amount of points at the moment. But, you know, Byrne, he's not thinking about, you know, the victory tonight. He's looking at those two guys up ahead going, have I got enough time to catch them here? They've got 2 more laps or a lap and a half. They start battling hard. I'm half a chance here.
Well, final lap of the race. One thing I've just realised as well, Cowie, if Pocock gets this over Loretti and Byrne and Bellac finish where they are, we'll have 3 separate round winners here tonight on points, because Pocock finished P4 in the first race and he'd go P1 in this one. So they'd actually be equal on points with Byrne and Bellac. All 3 of them would be. It'd be absolutely insane. But there's our 3 blokes to talk to after the race. Right there, but it's only if Pocock can get it done. Loretti's not got long to go. He's got the straight and 1 more corner to survive to get victory here in race 2. I wish I'd gone with my gut and gone with Loretti at the start now instead of Jace. Nothing against Jace there, but I was hesitant. I was hesitant on Adrian, but 1 corner to go. It looks like he may have this one written up, done and dusted for him here as we come around. There's a car spun at the final corner, but it's not going to matter. Adrian Loretti's going to take home victory of race 2. Pocock in P2, Byrne out of P3. Bellac's going to come home in P4. So Byrne and Bellac, the round winners here tonight for the Motorsport Australia Formula V Nationals. Chapman P5 here for race number 2. Graham Dooley home in P6. Jason Douglas will come home in P7. Dean Sinkovich will come home in P8. So around about where he finished race number 1. Tyler Sheaf comes home in P9, struggling just out there a little bit. And then Chai Philo will come around the final corner to make up our top 10 here in race number 2. What a set of little nippy battles we had all throughout the field here tonight, Cowie, across both races.
Look, it was great. Chai Philo, I'm sure he's probably the one driver that wouldn't agree. Unfortunately, got caught up in something that he couldn't do anything about and pretty much wrecked his race. But, you know, Tyler Sheep, he had a great run, battling hard there, made a couple of mistakes, but made a couple of good moves as well. But, you know, Adrian Loretti, look, he just timed it perfectly, you know, made his way to the front, put good pressure on Dooley and Douglas in the front there, and then ran away with it. He made up that gap in the middle, and Scotty Pocock, he chased hard, tried to bring that gap down as much as he could. Unfortunately, maybe just fell a lap short.
So there are our podium finishes for race number 2 lining up on the grid. We'll get up our provisional race results here for this race here tonight. Big burnout coming though from our winner as we continue running through. So Loretti takes out P1 to Scott Pocock in P2, and Daniel Byrne will make up the podium of race 2. So then Caleb Bellac in P4 ahead of Sam Chapman in P5. Graham Dooley coming home in P6. Jason Douglas then come home in P7 ahead of Dean Sinkovich, who goes 2-0 against Stephen here tonight out on track. Put that into your stats of how many times Dean has beaten Stephen out there. Tyler Sheaf comes home P9 ahead of Chai Philo out of P10. Kevin Wakefield, Martin Walker, Stephen Heaton and Stephen Sinkovich will make up our grid. Big thank you to Tyson McAvoy, our race controller here tonight.
Great result. Great result of racing. I mean, across the pack, we finally had a new winner step to the top. Unfortunately, Caleb making contact with Jace Douglas there and ending up with a drive-through penalty. But yes, buddy, what a great night of racing.
So we'll see who's going to come and join us for a chat. Of course, Bellac and Byrne are our round winners. Who do you normally speak to on a Monday night, Cowie?
We've been speaking to the top 3, but we have had a sort of an AM. Have we had an AM class? I don't think we have yet sorted out for these. I was having a look in the
Discord there to see if I had any information on it. But no, so we've just been getting in the top three. If Caleb Ballack jumps in for a chat, we might grab him as well because he is equal round winner after tonight.
Well,
but let's see.
We'll drag Mr. Pocock in, who I believe this is. Mr. Pocock, I assume.
Hello.
Mate, what a race that was for you there in race 2. Not quite close enough to get the chocolates over Adrian. We were surmising on air that if you'd actually gotten past him, you would have been one of 3 round winners here tonight. But P2 in the second race, P4 in race number 1, you got to feel pretty good coming into the final 3 rounds off the back of that.
Yeah, look, tonight, I think it was cleaner than I thought it would be. So I didn't have any much confidence in that that last corner. So it wasn't going to be much sending happening, and Adrian really got the better runs out of that last corner. So where I was confident in that first corner, I couldn't capitalise. So yeah, it was a fun race tonight.
Well, mate, we saw some good wheel-to-wheel battling there. Sorry to cut you off there, Cowie, just quickly. But I've obviously I haven't been calling the majority of the season. But how have you been feeling trying to get to grips with this car, get it under control, and be confident to be able to battle it on track week after week?
Yeah, you just got to do a lot of laps in it. Know what it's going to do in the first few laps because it's fast in the first few laps, but the tail is really loose. So once you sort of can get over that, then you've just got to have that awareness of where the guys are around you, because it's not just like the guy you're battling with in front and the guy behind. It could be like the guy that's 2 cars behind you that's going for the same corner. And rightfully so. There's plenty of different lines in this thing that you can capitalise on people battling. So yeah.
Sorry, guys, to interrupt. Hamish, I'm going to have to let you do the rest of the interviews, buddy. I've got to rush down to the house. Mum's in a bit of pain.
That's all good, mate. No
enjoy
worries.
the night, guys. Great work, Scotty. And
you,
say hi to Adrian for me.
No worries. Good luck with it, mate.
Well, Scott, obviously a fairly good night for you here tonight. Thanks for coming over chat to us once again. Let us know who's giving you and Red Rocket Racing the support out there, mate. And congrats on P2 in the second race.
Oh yeah, look, it's Adrian again. He's sort of the unofficial teammate. We're in Discord together, so we kind of work together to a certain degree. Just calling out where the cars around us are and what might be happening in front and behind. So thanks to him. And
I guess, how are you feeling going into the final couple of rounds? Of course, next week you guys will be running out at Lime Rock. Lucky we don't race there on a Sunday because that's actually illegal. But I don't know if anyone knew that. That's actually a law that's at Lime Rock. They never go racing there on a Sunday. But
I did not know that.
Yeah, so another good little club circuit there. How are you feeling going into that one and going into the rest of the season as well?
Look, over the years, I think we've all had pretty good battles in small little slow cars around Lime Rock. So it'll be a great venue.
Very good, mate. Well, thanks for coming over chat here tonight. Best of luck next time out. I look forward to seeing it from outside the comms box next time. But congratulations once again.
Thanks, mate.
Thanks, buddy. Mr. Daniel Byrne, driver 808. Guess what came up in my recommended yesterday?
Probably one of those driver 808 videos.
Oh, mate, you guessed it. You guessed it. So I checked it out. It was your VR video of high definition VR open wheelers compilation of crashes or something like that. And then I checked out one of your VR videos of a race I actually called, which was Motorsport last year for the F3s. But, mate, out there tonight, you get the round win alongside Caleb. You nearly had a third person joining you if Scott had actually taken P1 in the second race. But a strong performance from you once again in an open wheeler car. How are you feeling after that one? And how are you feeling going into the final couple of rounds?
Yeah, that was good fun. That's a really tricky track combination with that car. It probably doesn't look like it, but we were on the edge the entire time. Every one of those fast corners was it was ready to loop on you at any second. So it was pretty sketchy. And that last race there, I could see I was catching Adrian. I could see he was being a bit cautious through that last corner as well. And I was gaining and gaining and gaining. I reckon if I had maybe 2 or 3 more laps, I could have started battling with the guys ahead. But good fun all round.
Now we saw you were in the lead of the first race there, coming up onto, I think it was the final or second to last lap, and there was a lapped car as you come around the final corner. You made a little bit of a mistake running it wide. Can you walk me through what kind of happened there and maybe how that kind of got away from you in the end?
Yeah, so basically I hadn't really done any proper running behind a car, and the lapped car ahead of me was probably in the perfect spot to give me a tow. So I just came into that corner way hotter than I'd ever had before. So I just kind of cooked it, and then I could see Caleb was on my inside, and I got a little bit greedy, and I just got on the power a little bit too early. I should have waited a little bit and just kind of made sure I was going to make the track, but got on the power a little bit too early, ran wide on the grass, had to lift off a little bit, and that was enough for Caleb to pass me. And then he took the win. So that was a good battle though.
Well, mate, you got the round win here tonight. Obviously, Lime Rock next time out. How are you feeling going into that round, being that it is another one of those little nice club circuit or club racing style of circuits coming up for round 7?
It's always a good track, isn't it, with the little cars? It'll be a heap of fun. It's quite easy to trip over each other through some of those twisty sections. So we might see a couple more safety cars, I would imagine, than we did today. And the barriers are a little bit closer as well in some sections. So, it's a perfectly matched track car combo. So looking forward to that one.
Very good, mate. Well, let us know who's giving you and Carlin's Motorsport the support out there, mate, and anyone else you want to give a shout out to as well.
Cheers. Carlin's Motorsport, Drive Raider 08, sim racing videos on YouTube and TikTok. Glam Raider, which is Australia's largest viral online beauty store. Little Rara, wines from Victoria's popular Piran Vineyard. Eagers Automotive, Australia's largest automotive retail group. And big shout outs to Atari, Bianca, Frenchie and Minka, Zach and Levi. And big shout outs to Adrian as well. Did really well tonight.
Yeah, mate. Former teammates, and both of you on a podium once again. Congratulations on P3 in race number 2, P2 race number 1, and the round win.
Thanks a lot, guys. See you next week.
Thanks, mate. Mr. Loretti, when am I going to see you back in an F3, first of all?
When they decide to run it about half an hour later.
Okay, I see how it is. But obviously, you get the win here tonight in race number 2. You held off Scott there, held him away from being the third round winner beside Daniel and Caleb. So you achieved something other than getting a race win here tonight. But how's it been getting used to this car across this season? I've been out of the loop a little bit for the Formula Vs, but I know they are an absolute handful to get grips with.
Yeah, obviously it's a very odd car coming from driving the F3 all the time into this thing. I'm used to it now. It took me a few races to sort of get used to it. You only use 2 gears, and it's just very odd. But in this track, I don't know. It was a very short lap, a couple corners where it gets unsettled, and that's what happened in the second race actually, where I was losing time to the guys behind. I had a bit of a moment, and then I was just overly cautious for the remainder of the race.
Now, obviously, we haven't spoken since this happened, but Kittens Racing kind of dissolved, and you've now joined the boys over at DFR. How's that transition been for you in that changeover? A little bit of a change of environment for you, but also possibly a different way of tackling a race week in and week out as well.
Yeah, Kittens was always sort of we threw it together as a little fun thing. We didn't really take it serious at all, to be honest, but it took off, and there were quite a few of us, and we did pretty well. But obviously with a few of us dropping off, and then there was just nothing happening. So me and Darren and myself jumped over to DFR, and we'll see going forward if I can get in a few more races with them. But at the moment, I'm just doing this with SRW. So.
Well, very good, mate. Well, congratulations on your win here in race number 2. Now, you weren't really challenged for the majority until Scott kind of came up on the back of you in the last couple of laps here, but you managed to get it home in P1. Let us know who's giving yourself and Downforce Racing the support out there, and anyone else you want to give a shout out to as well.
Yeah, well, I'll just like to thank Downforce Racing, and also shout out to AML Technology, and then to my kids, Daniela and Michael.
Very good, mate. Well, thanks for coming and have a chat to me here tonight. Best of luck next time out on track, and best of luck for the rest of the season as well.
Cheers, mate. Thank you.
Thank you. Well, very good there, ladies and gentlemen, to speak to our podium finishers from race number 2. Unfortunately, Cowie had to run away at the last minute, so that will bring an end to our show. This has been an absolutely great night of racing, a nice little change of pace for me, calling some Formula V action. But if you're new here, if you've never seen one of our broadcasts, or if you've been here for a while and you've been contemplating, please hit the like button, hit the subscribe button as well, and the bell icon so you're notified anytime we go racing here on SRWtv. We got a new round coming out this week, round number 7 of SRWtv, starting out tomorrow night with the Warren & Brown Tools V8 Supercars Series. Out at Hockenheim. It'll be a great race. Do not miss it. Last Tuesday night's action was absolutely spectacular. And we've got other series on offer as well. The Shannon's Insurance Formula 3 Nationals on Wednesdays. The Shannon's Insurance Toyota Geo86 Nationals on Thursdays, which is also a Motorsport Australia official series. The Friday night IMSA Shadow Series brought to you by Warren & Brown Tools. The Sunday night Warren & Brown Tools V8 Supercars Pro-Am. And the rounding out our racing week, the Motorsport Australia Formula V Nationals, which is also a Motorsport Australia official series right here on Monday nights. From myself, Hamish Munro, and Andrew Cowan, this has been the Motorsport Australia Formula V Nationals, round number 6 of Season 1 of 2024 from Summit Point. We thank you all for joining us. We'll see you guys tomorrow night for the Warren & Brown Tools V8 Supercars Series, but until then, bye for now.
This is amazing. I was clash heads again. This is like Chad Mosman and Cam Waters. Almost the same situation. Better contact going down the hill. Sam Noble wants to snip on Dave Coleman now. Sam Noble bottle right now because tell you what, Bruce Tanak and Jamie Dyke just absolutely drove away from us.